Hi everyone, today is Tuesday, April 29th, and so um, kind of reflecting on the past 4 weeks. So in general, well, this is not just 4 weeks. If I go check the time and date calculator, it will say um, that between June 1st and 2020 and today, as of making this recording, that's 1,794 days since June 1st, 2020. So that's 4 years, 10 months, 29 days. So in about a month, then I'm going to be completing 5 years of recordings every day. So today is day 29 of April, but overall I'm a week away from 1,800 days, and I'm a month away from a daily practice of 5 years. So reflecting on kind of this process, today I'm making recording like earlier in the day. It's 1 o'clock. So I've gotten up, taken my kids to school, did some walking, some exercise, breakfast, shower, a class, prospecting a little bit, texting with some potential students interested in classes, and making this recording now. So I feel fresher earlier in the day than the end of the day. So last night is kind of writing a little bit at the end of the day after some classes and after going for a walk. And so at the end of the day, I don't feel as kind of fresh, and like my ideas kind of snapping a little bit more of something I want to write about, or some topic that's come to mind that could be relevant for this kind of speaking process and learning process. So I do have an idea for what I want to write about for the day 30, and taking some inspiration from recent events, and in terms of speaking right now about how do I feel about this 4 week process, and the overall process, like 4 years, documenting 5 years, and honestly, this has been like some of the hardest 5 years, in terms of uh, emotional health, mental health, just overcoming so many different things. And I must say that really one of the only ways I could have gotten through a very dark place, a very dark tunnel, a very dark hole, um, was documenting it through the speaking practice, and just having some uh, tiny little glimmer of a very faint candle about to fade out, to just say, trust that this speaking process, uh, practicing day by day, having a focus on personal development, personal growth, mindset, and reflecting on those topics, and writing about those topics. So beyond doing that for 5 years, because a month ago I was reflecting on this program becoming 8 years old. So there were at least 3 years of daily emails and speaking practice, not quite to the point of reaching years of practice. I was able to get up to 90 days, 100 days, 6 months, and then finally cracking this process of, in my kind of darkest place, in the middle of the COVID shutdown and lockdown, and just everything kind of really very difficult. A 19-year relationship ending, moving out, figuring out life on my own, figuring out life as a single parent, and those, and continuing to work online and in person and meet neighbors and promote teaching and promote programs like meeting once a week to practice the language. Just having a sense of faith and hope that things could get better. And I think the language learning element language is something that touches upon everything that we do in our daily lives. So why not point that lens or that spotlight on personal development, since I think the language learning and personal growth, and it's aspirational. There's a sense of wanting something better for ourselves. We don't quite go into language learning to just be stagnant. We don't go into language learning for a reverse where we kind of lose skills or get worse at something. So there is a sense of hope. And so in starting my current streak in June 2020, and just kind of reaching a really dark point, and kind of going like, the only way I can kind of really get through this process is kind of speaking. At times I have spoken in code. I think I still speak in a certain code where I'm not always 100% saying everything that's on my mind, but trying to transform it, trying to kind of bend my mind to be a little bit more optimistic when possible. There have been moments when I've been at a cracking point, but overall, if I do trace this, not just a 29-day month arc, but a 5-year arc, today I am feeling more positive, happier, especially compared to 5 years ago. I am working on physical fitness, exercising at home, going for walks. I do see the benefits after 3 or 4 days of walking and trying to increase the time or the distance, and seeing the benefits of how I feel, checking on what I'm eating and dieting, how I feel for the energy, the health, and that, keeping track of my time better, keeping track of the dieting and fitness and as a log, and just being able to look back at how I'm spending my time. Also being careful, a bit more cautious of how I spend time on social media and screen time, and recognizing when I have those moments where, like, okay, I'm highly stimulated after a class or after a couple classes. What can I do to kind of unwind for a little bit without overly stimulating afterwards? So finding that balance of innovation, or not just innovation, but new, like shiny new object if I'm looking on social media, or something stimulating in a way. So finding ways to combine, okay, I want to listen to something stimulating, like an interesting podcast interview. Why don't I do that while I'm exercising? So I can be working on fitness and stimulating my mind at the same time, and reflecting on some things. So finding ways to combine those things. And yesterday, there was a class that kind of, the answers to some questions were a bit worrisome because I was asking questions about kind of when the student reads, they don't like to read, consuming some content in another language since they were taking classes for this language. No, I don't want to. It's only a requirement at work. So I don't want to kind of give more of that outside of work. So I was thinking about the TV show Severance, where kind of there's only what happens at work and then completely dissociated after work. I was thinking like, okay, yeah, using the language at work seems to be like, okay, I only use it when I'm at work. But I do remember a student who we had that similar conversation of like, I only use, let's say, English at work, and it's being associated with stress and anxiety and tension in that workspace. And then when I asked about, okay, other languages, their face just completely brightened up when they mentioned enjoying learning Italian just for pleasure, just because it's like the music, the culture, the food, and the travel, and the history. So it's like, how can we take that enjoyment and pleasure of language learning and apply that to English? And that seems such a foreign concept of like, no, I can't. English is only stress. And I was like, it doesn't have to be that way, because the other language was for something for joy and pleasure. So I say, okay, let's combine some of these hobbies like gardening, yoga in English. And fortunately, that did have a positive effect. The student did start to see English in a new light, make a new association with it, and not only like to decouple it from like, okay, English equals stress, English equals anxiety, like, okay, maybe the office is stress, not English. But so finding a way to see the English as a hobby and something for joy, for pleasure, for stimulation. This other conversation with this other student was just kind of like, no, I'm not interested in that. So it became challenging on like, so why are we doing these classes if there's no real interest in any development? So I couldn't quite say that so honestly and so directly, but I do question the longevity for this particular student. But other than that, I would say that seeing personal development as part of language learning, I think there is potential there. It can really help bring somebody out of a dark space. I can say that from personal experience. And incorporating physical fitness, reading, listening to podcasts, just having something stimulating to reflect on, other conversations to listen to, observing how other people communicate and ask questions and answer questions. So there's always interesting ways to combine language learning and learning, and just constantly being curious in this learning space. And I would say it's, I don't always usually say this out loud, but thank you to myself for creating this space, and also creating this space for other people so they can connect as a community and encourage one another. I usually don't actively go out of the way to say like, hey, I'm doing something helpful. I'm usually a little bit more quiet on that, but at the end of the day, after doing something for 8 years for the emails and the community itself, and showing that this is possible for close to a month away from 5 years, but showing that yes, you can do something on a daily basis in this kind of vlogging, reflecting, journaling. There are benefits to that, and allowing your mind to reflect on lots of different ideas and find ways to be just happier, healthier, and communicating in another language. That's a skill. That's a benefit to have in your toolkit of things you are able to do. So getting to the end of the day 29, and that this I'm very pleased to keep going on a daily basis. So tracking this, trusting that the process can work, it does have benefits. It definitely has benefits. Hola a todos, hoy es martes el 29 de abril y hoy reflexionamos en el día 29 de un mes, pero también cuando checo la cantidad de tiempo que he practicado de manera diaria desde junio 2020, pues hoy ya son 1794 días consecutivos. Entonces estoy llegando casi a 5 años en un mes al final de mayo, y para documentar todo este proceso de 5 años digo que estos 5 años han sido los más difíciles de mi vida en muchos niveles, pero documentarlo y ver que puedo llegar a cómo me siento hoy, de mejor salud física, estoy haciendo ejercicio, estoy checando lo que como, qué cocino, cómo puedo compartir eso con mis hijos, los temas en que reflexiono para cada correo, y también en varias grabaciones y conversaciones que tengo con alumnos para cómo incorporar el aprendizaje del idioma en su vida, no tan solo en el trabajo, pero fuera del trabajo, y usarlo como herramienta para crecimiento personal. Hay muchísimos temas y maneras de aplicar el aprendizaje de un idioma para esa superación personal y crecimiento. Y estoy muy agradecido con mí mismo y también con la comunidad de las personas que me han confiado de poner a la prueba esta metodología de aprender con temas de reflexión y documentar ese proceso. Y estos casi 5 años es ver que sí es posible y sí hay beneficios, hay mejoración en muchas áreas de la vida. Y eso es más o menos todo para hoy. Bonjour tout le monde, aujourd'hui c'est mardi le 29 avril, et aujourd'hui on réfléchit sur donc, le jour 29, de comment ça va les 4 semaines, mais aussi je réfléchis sur 5 ans presque. Bon, dans un mois, ça va vraiment être 5 ans, mais quand même, c'est presque 5 ans. Et que ce processus de documenter, faire des enregistrements, dans un mois, oui, il y a une possibilité de faire des améliorations et faire du progrès. Mais au long terme, il y a vraiment la possibilité de voir une amélioration dans 5 ans. Donc, j'étais vraiment dans un trou noir un moment très difficile il y a 5 ans. Donc, le fait de documenter tout ça, ça montre du foi, ça montre de l'espoir que je peux trouver une bonne heure de nouveau, je peux améliorer des choses comme la santé physique, la santé mentale, la santé émotionnelle et utiliser ces thèmes que j'écris tous les jours de plus de 8 ans maintenant et avec cette habitude de presque 5. Donc il y a beaucoup de possibilités. C'est très enrichissant, c'est très stimulant et ça touche à beaucoup de domaines dans la vie quotidienne. Donc je suis très remercié avec moi-même et aussi avec la communauté que ça existe et on peut croître ensemble. Donc voilà. Ähm, Hallo an alle, heute ist der 9. und 20. April und heute sprechen wir darüber, äh, wie geht es mit, ein, mit einem Monat und auch denke ich an 5 Jahre. Also ich habe diese Videoaufnahme im Juni 2020 beginnt und ich weiterhalte jeden Tag und ich sehe, dass es ist sehr, 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 sehr hilfreich für Gesundheit und für Andenken, Denken an viele Dinge und ich schreibe an viele Dinge und ich bin sehr dankbar mit mir, dass ich habe es gemacht jeden Tag und es gibt Leute und sie lernen zusammen und wir können viele Dinge zusammen zu tun und ich möchte viele Zeit weiterhalten und ja, das ist alle für heute. Ciao a tutti, oggi è il giorno 29 e oggi penso un po' in cosa ho fatto in un mese ed anche 5 o così 5 anni perché ho cominciato a fare queste registrazioni in giugno 2020 e quando avevo cominciato avevo stato molto triste, senza felicità, e un momento molto difficile nella vita, ma ho documentato tutto questo con registrazione e con messaggi che scrivo ogni giorno e posso dire grazie mio, a me per continuato perché aiuta altre persone, mi aiuta e vedo che posso stare più felice, con meglio salute e per questo voglio continuare molto tempo e questo è tutto per oggi. Всем привет! Сегодня 29 апреля и сегодня говорю немного о том, что делал в этом месяце и также в 5 лет, потому что я начал делать упражнения, нет, видеозаписи каждый день уже почти 5 лет. Это было июни 2020. И когда я начал, я был очень несчастливый, и это было очень трудно мне жизнь. но я не знаю, как я смог на, надеть, надеяться, the hope, что я могу делать лучше. И каждый день говорю об этом, и напишу об этом, и я вижу, что так я могу говорить лучше, и также здорово, и как делаю упражнения, и как ем, и, и, и когда я преподавать, я вижу, что много вещей могут быть лучше. И поэтому я очень благодарен мне, что я продолжаю. И это все на сегодня. Большое спасибо, пока.